Hey guys, this is Noah. I'm the composer behind the Rescored mod for Kerbal Space Program. And in this video, we're just going to be doing fully unedited live commentary on some gameplay with the Rescored mod implemented. Because I can't be bothered to edit a full video right now, and I really want to show you guys how the mod's doing. So, the way we have it set up right now is we have generic ground music for when you're on the launch pad. Really spacey and textural kind of vibe we got going on here. So you're probably sitting here watching this and being like, where's this awesome cinematic music you promised us, Noah? And I know we haven't gotten there yet. So right now it's really jank. There's just this really awkward fade out that happens around like 70 meters per second, and then at 80 meters per second, that's where we get the music coming in. There we go. So as our velocity increases, the music kind of progresses as well. We have like 3 chunks of music for low speed, medium speed, and high speed. Right now we're in low speed. Medium speed comes at 260 meters per second. So the orchestra kind of jump scares us right here. Still ironing out some of the mixing issues, like just getting the volume kind of right everywhere. That's kind of like later thing that we fix. Don't worry about it right now. So right there, in this new section of music, we just transitioned to our medium speed playlist, which kind of waited until the last phrase was over before starting, so it doesn't like cut off anything. It makes it all kind of seamless. You know, hopefully you don't notice that stuff unless I tell you where it happens. So right around here, the FPS is really starting to drop because I'm recording this on a Mac. It's not really optimized for this. Why are you recording this on a Mac, Noah? It's because I compose music on the Mac, and I don't feel like moving over to my Windows machine just to record this footage. So here you go. Low quality footage all around. I don't care. Right here you can see this cool mix change that happens when we go into map view, where the orchestra gets really muted, and we bring out all the textural, like synth-like layers of the music. So yeah, the next transition that happens gets triggered at 1,650 meters per second, if I'm not mistaken. So you just have to wait until this chunk is done. But then we get this nice transition segment, which brings us into a cool key change, which will then prepare us for the complete transition to the space music. You can see my computer's really not handling this section very well. But it's alright. The music's working. gotta do a little burn here to stay over that 1600 threshold, because if we go back under it, it'll just have this really messy, confusing transition back to a different key, which I don't have a transition between yet, and it's just really ugly. I don't want you to see that right now. See, we get these kind of really interesting like musical gestures that are like a shepherd tone, where they just keep kind of going up and up and up and up, and it's kind of just bringing us higher and higher into the atmosphere. I think it's pretty cool. And if you haven't noticed yet, as we approach the top of the atmosphere and get into space, all of those rhythmic, like, they're all kind of muting and melting into nothing. So by the time we get into space, we're just left alone with the orchestra, and it feels really fitting. And so if you're wondering where the music went, that was actually kind of a suggestion of Hauben, the programmer on this mod. Where he kind of suggested that we have like moments of silence or breaks in the music to kind of like give your ears a rest. And I thought this was the best place to do it, like right on the edge of like circularizing your orbit. Then right there, as we circularized, we get the music come back in, and that's really gentle and light. You know, some of you might recognize the music that's playing right now. It's kind of like a really stripped down version of the demos I put out like a few weeks ago. And that's because the more I played with this mod, the more I tested it, it just felt that having like a melody playing and constant motion in the music, it just got really frustrating. Especially when you're doing something so methodical as like docking in orbit or something like that. So more and more, I'm just kind of like stripping away the extra fluff in the orchestration and just kind of making it a lot more minimalist. And so more and more, as I iterate on the music, I'm going more and more in this textural direction rather than that kind of hyper melodic, like romantic sound that we had in earlier versions of the mod. So what I'm doing right now in the gameplay is I'm trying to decircularize the orbit, but put the apoapsis in front of me. It's basically how this system works, how Hauben has it set up right now, is the game transitions back into the atmosphere music switch once you've decircularized, but only after you pass the apoapsis. You know, when the game is absolutely sure that you're hurtling back towards the Earth. Now, do we want the music to transition right after you pass the apogee? Probably not, because it implies that there's some immediate danger where there isn't. Like, you could be like 2 million miles away from this planet and have this like rhythmic kind of music playing. It's like, what? I'm totally safe up here. And so what we could do instead is use this trigger once we hit the apogee with an unsafe orbit to bring in some musical layer or section that implies that there's some danger here that kind of prepares us to hit the atmosphere, which then will change us to the atmosphere music. So we just hit the apogee with an unsafe orbit, and now we're in the atmosphere playlist. This is probably the music that would trigger once we actually hit the atmosphere. But, you know, triggering this music right here isn't terrible, because there's no like rhythmic element that's going like that comes in once you hit the atmosphere, as we showed you earlier. Now that music switch right there was really intentional, because the mod is registering that you're descending relatively quickly. So now it's set into the descent playlist, which is a completely parallel set of music to the stable flight playlist that we were listening to while we were lifting off. So yeah, now as we get back into the atmosphere, we're starting to get that clock and the rhythmic cello kind of coming back in to signal to us like, this is dangerous. This is exactly what we want. So that next transition that's happening in this playlist is happening at the same threshold that we had in Ascent at 1,650 meters per second, which might be a bit too late considering the fireball's already dissipating by the time that it comes in this recording. So we could push it back, but it's not that big of a deal. It still feels really satisfying. So yeah, this part, there's nothing too fancy. We're just doing some like light mix changes as we approach the bottom. But yeah, all things considered, this video is a pretty flattering showcase of how the mod works, because there are some pretty messy things that can happen, especially when you're flying an SSTO, which is why we're about to do playtests, and you should definitely join the Discord to hear about those, because they're happening very soon. And once we get those going, we'll start getting some real good actionable feedback from people who are playing the game normally, instead of this really curated gameplay that you have in this video. So yeah, join our Discord, consider donating to the Patreon, it helps us out a lot. And we're both really excited to get this mod out to you guys, because it is a total labor of love. And I'll see you guys next time.